In class, I looked at shall and will for offers and suggestions. I wrote 3 of the sentences from the lesson on the board, and as a class we highlighted areas of connected speech, sentence and word stress, and of course intonation. Then I carried out a reconstruction drilling of the 3 sentences, removing sections and asking students to continue to drill in the same vein. In terms of phonology, as I mentioned earlier, I focused on lots of different types, but mainly looking at assimilation, how sounds join together, how words become 2 words become 1 word, focusing on the contraction of I will to I'll and shall I to shall I. Also looking at the linking W with expressions such as show him and should I do it? Should I give it to him, etc. So I think that those highlighted certain areas of connected speech. We also focused on the falling intonation at the end of the questions using shall. Overall, I think students really enjoyed it. At first they were a bit tentative because of the camera, and I don't think they were really expecting me to record the session. But after the initial 15-20 seconds, they lightened up, they were the usual selves, and they were happy to participate in the activity. I think that in terms of where the activity was placed in the class, I put it after the language focus and control practice section, but before the freer practice. And I think actually, having done it now, I think it was a good idea, because students were familiar with the constructions, familiar with the grammar and the meaning. Therefore, it was a case of really focusing solely on the production of it, rather than having to go back and explain certain things to them. I think that overall students understood why I wanted to look at this kind of drilling section. And from my perspective, I learned that it is fun to do things like that you shouldn't think that you're repeating too much. You shouldn't think students will become bored easily, because they won't. They love the idea that if they can't produce it the first or second time, that you continue it and finally they achieve it. We had a lot of camaraderie in there. Students from Thailand obviously have trouble with certain sounds, and we practiced them several times, and then other students applauded when the Thai students achieved their aim of pronouncing it properly, and that was really touching. I found that one of the highlights of the drilling and pronunciation sections. But finally, I'd just like to mention that, yeah, of course it's really important for students to learn productively, and I think this kind of activity does enable them to produce better language. But I think more importantly, and I don't know what anybody else thinks, so please feel free to comment, I believe that these types of activities allow students to learn much more receptively, because they can actually understand what somebody in the street is saying to them finally. Once they understand the connections between words and sounds, they really find that the key has been provided to opening the door to native speakers speak, if you like. So I'd be interested to hear what anybody else thinks about the productive, receptive argument with drilling. Thank you.